It's your favorite Dungeon Master, DM Andy, and today I'm gonna build pillars. I went out into the world again. This time I went looking for foam core. I peeled the paper off these, then I cut them down on my hot wire foam table. I cut several strips down to about 40 millimeters wide. Then I adjusted my table and made one more strip 50 millimeters. Then I took those strips and I cut those down into 40 millimeter squares, adjusted my table, and made that last strip into 50 millimeter squares. I stacked up my 40 millimeter squares and I made a cut with my hot wire foam table on each side. I did not do this to the 50 millimeter squares. And then I went on to the age-old method of the aluminum foil ball. I went over each corner and edge of these to make them look like stone. And then just start stacking your pillars together. I'm using hot glue here, just don't use very much because you don't want to melt the foam. Don't forget to flip these foam squares, so it'll make a brick pattern where we made the cut with the hot wire foam table. And from there it's just glue, stack, glue, flip, stack, over and over and over. I made my pillars 16 bricks tall, not counting the two 50 millimeter squares that I'm going to use as bases. When you use foam as your building medium, you can't use spray paint. So I'm going to reinforce and base coat this foam pillar with Mod Podge and black paint. This base coating method doesn't just strengthen up your foam projects, it also adds a little texture because it's a glue-based product. And let's not forget, it wouldn't be a DM Andy video without toothpicks. I like to use toothpicks to clean out my line work just a little bit, so when I go back to paint, the bricks have more of a separated pattern. Now that your base coat is completely dry, we're going to take a dark gray crafting paint and a kitchen sponge, and we're just going to dab on dark gray to bring up the color of this brick pattern. And then I'm going to move on with a lighter gray, and I'm going to hit it with a little less paint this time, making sure I pay attention to the top, the edges, try to hit more of the corners with this color. Then I'm going to get a paintbrush and mix an off-white with some light gray, and I'm just going to pick out a few bricks and color them in. Work your way around doing random bricks to try to make it look like different types of stone. And then I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm going to mix the world-famous crafting color Burnt Sienna with a little bit of the dark gray I used earlier. Then I'm going to take my paintbrush, select out a few different stones, and color those in. Feel free to paint these bricks up however you want to. I've done them in blues and browns and tans before too. They turn out great no matter what you do. Now these bad boys are ready to hit the table and block some line of sight. As always, this is your favorite Dungeon Master saying, "Hey, don't throw out that Amazon box, I've got a game next week."